Hello and good day, everyone. Objectively and subjectively, there is a feeling, a state, which is worse than sadness, and that is apathy. Apathy or numbness is a state which is objectively and subjectively, from the standpoint of the behavioral and psychological sciences, worse than sadness. Psychiatrists, although I'm not one myself, but I am a physician, but psychiatrists use a manual, it's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, or DSM, to evaluate and diagnose a host of mental health conditions. And one of the criterion for diagnosing major depressive disorder is not just sadness per se, but a disinterest in general, a loss of sensation of pleasure, which medically is called anhedonia. And oftentimes, depression does not really present itself in the obvious, manifest way we would like to think it to be so. It's not necessarily a state of sadness, of loneliness, of rumination. Oftentimes, and perhaps you may relate or you have seen a loved one or a friend to be this way, oftentimes, depression can actually manifest itself as a sense of disinterest, a sense of overall numbness, a sense of living life as though one were in autopilot, just going through the motions. I personally felt it many years ago when I had depression myself, and several other loved ones and patients also felt the same way. It's not really pure sadness, like the way we like to think of a typical depressed person, but rather it is anhedonia, it is apathy, it is the feeling as though the things you used to enjoy, both big and small, you no longer enjoy in the present. For example, before you were in this state, a simple cup of freshly brewed coffee would make you smile, but now it doesn't. It's just coffee. Perhaps before, the greeting of your spouse or your parent used to lift up your day before you went to work, but now it's just a greeting. Perhaps before, the world seemed so colorful and more vibrant. And mind you, there are actually several studies. Most of them are not level A evidence, but there are studies in the behavioral sciences which affirm that people who are diagnosed with MDD, major depressive disorder, seem to perceive as though the external world were bleaker, more monochromatic, less colorful than their peers who do not have MDD. So it is actually a stated fact that when one is depressed, the world can seem literally, not just metaphorically, but literally less colorful and less vibrant. So this sense of just going through the motions, this is called apathy. Anhedonia is the sensation of loss of pleasure in the things you used to find enjoyment in. And personally, I would think that this state is actually worse than being downright sad, because oftentimes it is so subtle. It becomes so automatic even that one may actually not be aware of it. One may not actually be cognizant, and it takes someone, a loved one, a best friend, to point out that, hey, something is amiss with you. Something just isn't right. Before you actually do recognize that something is amiss. So, this video, of course, is far from any medical advice, but if anything at all, I hope that this can be a simple wake-up call, a simple reminder to even briefly examine yourself. Let's examine ourselves. If we are feeling apathy, feeling anhedonia in our everyday lives, hopefully, may this be a simple wake-up call to consider if we are experiencing these. And if we are, I always say and I think that the step to any positive change is always awareness. We need to be aware first of where and what is going wrong. After that, everything else can and will follow. And perhaps for you to recognize whether you have these, anhedonia or apathy, please, don't isolate yourself. Don't stay in your own bubble. It takes really, not necessarily a village, but it takes at least one other person, a loved one, a friend, a family member, to point out what may not be immediately obvious. Thank you everyone, and I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in our next video. Take care everyone.